This is 5 Minutes to Change Your Life. My name's Joanne Mallon. I'm an author and coach. I love helping people to make wee changes that make a massive difference in their lives. Give me 5 minutes of your time today. Just might change your life. Hey, what about you? Hey, did you see? We did it. We climbed over that big mountain of 100,000 listens. Oh my God, 100,000. I have to keep saying that because it feels like such a big number, and it doesn't really feel like all that long ago that there was no listen. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And we're not quite done yet because there are some things that we still need to talk about. Case in point today, I wanted to talk a wee bit about making friends as an adult and the very much related issue of loneliness. So big topics. Let's see what we can do with this in 5 minutes. Here we go. So there are many times in my life that I have struggled with friendships and have felt tremendously lonely. This was something that I thought not about an awful lot over lockdown because, I'd see people on social media and they're all complaining about, oh no, another Zoom cocktail night with my buddies. And I'm thinking, I would love to go to a bloody Zoom cocktail night, but no buggers invited me to one. It's just not happening. You ever get that feeling that everybody else has got great big crowds of friends, but you don't? Like somewhere there's this marvellous WhatsApp group chat going on and you're just not being invited into it. So in lockdown, I used to go out in these daily walks by myself, and I thought an awful lot about this topic of friendship and why it wasn't working for me as I would want to at this point in my life. I worked out that there are two factors that come into play and that can get in the way of our ability to make friends and result in us feeling somewhat isolated. So those two factors are internal and external. So your external factors, that's things like simply living a very isolated life, which is extremely easy to do these days. So much is hands off. Maybe you work from home. Maybe you're self-employed, so you don't have regular colleagues that you see. Maybe you've got caring responsibilities, so you just can't get out in the world that much. Those kind of external factors are actually fairly straightforward to deal with because you just have to start putting yourself out there a bit more. So maybe you join a club, find people with similar interests. You could volunteer. You could change your job to one that's more social. One thing I did was I volunteered for a couple of years at a project, primarily because I was feeling isolated, and through that I met some really lovely people. I didn't make any lasting friendships, but I do think that my volunteering kind of helped my social skills and forced me to be less of a hermit, and that was what I needed. Your new friendships are not going to come knocking at your door when you sit inside, away from the world. You have to be brave, leave the house, say yes to invitations, even if the thought of going to anything with new people scares you. Start to embrace the real life world more, and it will embrace you back. Now, the other end of this, the other factor that I mentioned, that's the internal factors. What is it within you that is keeping you isolated and that is maybe possibly even pushing other people away or getting in the way of the friendships that you like to have? What's going on within you that maybe feels safer, more comfortable alone? Now, I'm not talking about blaming yourself here, but I do think that as adults, we have to stand up and acknowledge our own part in our own story. So I don't know what your internal factor might be. This is something for you to go away and work out, walk about, think about it. Think about what is going on here and what do you need to change. I can tell you what I think mine is or was. What I worked out was, I think for me, it boiled down to a feeling of not being enough. So then I would try and compensate for that by going the other way and being too much. And I love to help people, you need your child picking up after school, I'll have them for the weekend, that kind of thing. Constantly people pleasing. In transactional analysis, they call this being in rescuer mode. which sounds great to be a rescuer, doesn't it? Except for you to be a rescuer, that means that whoever you're rescuing is a victim. And that is not a good dynamic, is it, for friendship, really? So I don't do that anymore. And mainly how I dealt with this is just by reminding myself repeatedly to calm the fuck down, just to chill out, stop trying to be too much. It's made a huge difference to my friendships now because I feel more secure that I am enough and I don't have to be a people-pleasing yes woman, rescuer all the time to try and prove it. So this is really what I want you to give you to think about today. If your friendships are not how you would like them to be, think about what are the external factors at play, what are the internal factors involved, and crucially, what needs to change. So let me know how you get on with that. I'll talk to you soon.